backhand tennis, a point ends one of two ways. It's either a forcing shot or it's an unforced. So that means either you screwed it up or your opponent screwed it up, or you had such a good shot it wasn't returned. It can still be touched, but it wasn't returned. Or your opponent can hit a good shot that wasn't returned. Important to understand that every point ends like that. So if you hit an ace, it's a forcing shot, you get a plus. So it's a game of pluses and minuses. I guess you can say it's binary, whatever that word is, you can say it. What do you think it is, J-Rock? Binary? You know, it's a game of zeros and ones. Anyway, we got off track there. Plus, minus. So having said that, there's 5 different kinds of forehands. There's your defensive forehand, your neutral forehand, your maneuvering forehand, your attacking forehand, and your concluding forehand. So defense on the forehand, when you're playing defense on the forehand, maybe you're slice, you're just blocking it back over. Neutral, you're trying to keep it even. Maneuver, you're making your opponent run, okay? Attack means you're hitting your forehand and coming to the net. And conclude means the intent to hit a winner where it doesn't come back. So you got 5 different kinds of forehand. So you need to know the intent in order to chart the forehand. So for example, did you make an unforced error on your forehand and your intent was just to be neutral, keep it going? In that case, that's bad. But if you're trying to conclude with your forehand, hit a winner from behind the baseline, and you make an unforced error, that's kind of calculated. So that's kind of calculated that, you know, you can make it, not make it. And sometimes that's a smart shot, sometimes it's a horrible shot. So 4-all deuce, you're behind the baseline trying to conclude with your forehand, then that's not a good shot. But if you're down 4-1, you're down love 40, who cares? So score does matter when you choose the intent. So when you're properly charting a match, but you need to know the intent of the player. So that way, when it's all said and done, did you have how many plus forehands where you try to conclude? How many minus forehands that you were in neutral? Or how many minus forehands that you had when you were just trying to maneuver the person? So intent matters, score matters, and how the point in matters. Now most players just acquire an intuitive sense of doing this from playing many sets and matches and points and so forth. So there's no experience matters. And then doing it in big time situations kind of matter. Now, just saw a couple of pro tournaments in Canada, and people who play neutral, good defense, a little bit of maneuver, and really try hard, they can do well in tournaments, and they can be very consistent. However, the top level of WTA and ATP, it's like surfing. They're sending it. They got to walk that fine line and hurt the other person with concluding shots. And when they do that, there's a chance they can be upset every now and then. It's not really an upset. They're just calculating their game for the next tournament. So some of these people that have done well in Rogers Cup, Makeup National Tournament, and so forth, they've done well, but I don't project them to be able to make the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open, because the people who make the Elite Eight are usually people that have some concluding shots that they can make at a consistent rate. So remember, 5 tactics to the forehand, 5 different forehands: defense, neutral, maneuver, attack, conclude. And the same thing applies for the backhand. And the same thing applies to the serve, with the exception that you don't want, there shouldn't ever be a defensive serve, but same thing with the serve, same thing with the volley. There's 5 kinds of everything. defense, neutral, attack, maneuver, attack, conclude. Attack means go to the net. So I think I've said those 5 tactics enough.